Welcome back all of you. In this video lecture we will discuss about the decoding part of convolution codes. Which is a very important topic for your exams, and this decoding of the convolutional codes will adopt Viterbi algorithm method, algorithm. There are few other methods for decoding the convolutional codes, but this Viterbi algorithm method is the most flexible and the powerful method for decoding the convolution codes. We'll study this Viterbi algorithm only in our course. Before we begin the decoding part of the convolutional code, let us just have a quick revision and let's build upon what the encoding part or the encoding process that we have studied till now. So first we'll look at the encoding part in very brief. We'll discuss about the state transition diagrams and the trellis diagram, how to make a trellis diagram, and then further by using a trellis diagram how can we decode using the Viterbi algorithm. So let's begin with a brief introduction of the encoding part that we have already done in the previous video. Let us take the same example of a convolutional encoder that we did previously. It consists of 3 shift registers, and here we give the input data stream, and there are 2 modulo 2 adders. And these are the 2 output terminals. So we are going to use the same examples, right? So now with the help of this convolutional encoder, we can easily make the state transition diagram. There are 4 possible states. Initially we assume that all the contents of the shift registers are 0, and we give input from this terminal, and so the input bit first goes into this shift register, which is DK, right? So initially we assume that these 2 shift registers DK-2 and DK-1, they are in the state 0, 0. Okay. So there are since these are the 2 shift registers consisting of a single bit, so we can have 4 different possible states or combinations of these 2 shift registers, which are, let's say, A, B, C and D. So these 2 can be either 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. We are talking about these 2 terminals, DK-2 and DK-1. So these are the 4 possible combinations, and we assign these combinations as 4 different states, A, B, C and D. Okay, and we can have different inputs. Input can be either 0 or 1. Alright, so based on this information we can easily make the state transition diagram, right? So we will begin with state A, which is 0, 0. Alright, so now initially if the state is 0, 0, that means DK-2 and DK-1 both are 0 and 0, and we give input as 0. So this is 0, this is 0 and this is 0. So these outputs will also be 0. If we apply if we perform the modulo 2 operations, then we get that the output will also be 0, 0, right? So this will remain in the same state. If the input is 0, output will remain 0, 0. Similarly, let's make the second state, it's B 0, 1, C 1, 0 and D 1, 1. Still if we are at state A, that means DK-1 and DK-2 are 0, 0, and if the input is 1, that means this is 1 now, these 2 are 0, we'll find that the output at the output terminal we get the output 1 and 1. These outputs will be 1 and 1. Alright, so we'll move on to transition from state A to state B. If the input is 1, the output will be 1, 1. And why do we transition to state B? Because the input was 1, right? So whenever the next input comes, next input can be either 0 or 1. So the next input will shift this 1 to the next shift register, and this will get shifted again. So the state of this dk minus 1 and dk minus 2 will be now 1 and 0, which is nothing but your state B. So this will shift your system to encoder to state B. Similarly, if we are at state B and if the input is 0, if we are at state B and the input is 0, we get 0 over here. So we can find that the output, at the output terminal, we get 1 0, 1 and 0. This is 1 and this is 0. And we'll see that the state transition takes place from B to C. So if the input is 0, output will be 1 0, and state transition takes place from B to C. Let us see how this state transition takes place. See, the current input was 0. Okay, now when the next input comes, which can be either 0 or 1, so this 0 will be shifted to this dk minus 1 shift register, and this 1 will be further shifted subsequently, right? So the next state will be 1 0. Okay, and 1 0 is nothing but your state C. So it transitions to state C. In this way we can complete this entire state transition diagram. I'll just quickly complete this diagram for you. So this is how we can complete this state transition diagram. Each state is achieved using two different paths. We can easily observe it from here. Now using this state transition diagram, we can easily make the trellis diagram. Now let us quickly make the trellis diagram for the same example. So we'll denote the 4 states here, which are your A, that is 0 0, B, which is 0 1, C 1 0, and D 1 1. Similarly, corresponding 4 states here. Okay, so we'll begin with the state A, that is 0 0 in dk minus 1 and dk minus 2 shift registers, and we can easily correlate it with this state transition diagram. Okay, so initially if we get input as 0, the state remains same. The state remains same, that is A, and the output is 0 0. Okay, so if we have the input 0 0, output is 0 0, and the state remains same, that is A, right? Secondly, when the input is 1, you can see the state changes from A to B, and the output is 1 1. So the state changes from A to B, and the output is 1 1. Alright. Next, if we are again at this state A, input is 0, output will remain 0 0, and state will remain same. So 0 0 0. So you can complete this throughout, will remain same, unchanged. And if the output is 1, the state changes to B, and the output is 1 1. Okay, Now if you are at this terminal, if you are at state B and input is 0, if input is 0, you can clearly see state changes from B to C and the output is 1 0. Okay, let us do the same. Change the state to C and output is 1 0. Alright. Next, at this terminal, if we are at for this only, at terminal B, if the input is 1, you can see the state changes from B to D and the output is 0 1. So now it transitions to state D and the output is 0 1. In this way we can complete this entire trellis diagram, which I'll do it quickly for you. Now since we know how to make a trellis diagram and a state transition table of any given convolutional encoder, this is your given convolutional encoder, and when we have the understanding of the overall encoding process taking place, now we can go for the implementation of the decoding algorithm, which is going to be Viterbi algorithm. Okay, now let us discuss the process followed by the Viterbi algorithm. It is also known as maximum likelihood decoding. Or ML decoding, MLD. Okay, so it is observed that Viterbi algorithm or the maximum likelihood algorithm is one of the best technique for digital communications when the computational complexity is of importance to us, because it reduces the computational complexity. That means it permits major equipment simplification. The circuitry, the hardware circuitry for this Viterbi algorithm is quite simple. It permits simple computations, so easy to implement on hardware. So whenever the constraint length is limited, it can be easily implemented on hardware because it involves very simple computations. If you remember carefully, the ML decoding, MLD, in case of AWG in channel, what it does is it requires selecting a code word that is closest to the received word. Okay, this is the purpose of ML decoding. This is how ML decoding works. It selects, or you can say, it selects a code word nearest to the received word. Okay, so if the number of code words are limited or less in number, we can easily perform ML decoding, the ideal ML decoding process. Okay, but if the number of code words are large, then it will be really you can say a complex situation for us. That means we have to compare the received word with each and every code word. Okay, let's say if we have a k bit message block, k message bits, and there will be 2 raised to power k number of code words. This value of k is large, so there will be a large number of code words available. So in order to perform the decoding, in order to perform the ideal ML decoding, maximum likelihood decoding, we need to compare the received word with each and every code word, and then we need to find out the Hamming distance, and the code word with the least Hamming distance, minimum Hamming distance, will be your received code or detected code word. But if the value of k is large, this process will involve a huge complexity. So Viterbi proposed a simple modification to this process. which simplified this whole ML decoding process. So basically Viterbi algorithm is a simplified version of ML decoding, rather we can say. It's not exactly ML decoding, it's a simplified version of ML decoding. Let us see what exactly this Viterbi algorithm says. So according to Viterbi algorithm, we stress that each path that traverses through the trellis represents a valid code word. We have seen the trellis diagram. We can so this is the trellis diagram, and according to Viterbi algorithm, the very first assumption it makes is, which is a valid assumption, that each path, let's say we are talking about this path which traverses through the trellis, each path that traverses through the trellis represents a valid code word. So each output will be a part of the code word. So this entire, if we concatenate all these outputs, we get a code word. Similarly, each path, any path that traverses this trellis diagram represents a code word. So this is the first valid assumption in the Viterbi algorithm. Each path that traverses the trellis diagram represents a code word. With the help of this assumption, we can simplify the ML decoding process. So the objective of ML decoding is to find the best path through the trellis that is closest to the received data bit sequence. Okay, that means if we are able to draw the trellis diagram and we have the received bit sequence, what we'll do is we'll compare that received bit sequence with the best possible path whose Hamming distance is least as when compared it with the code word. Okay, we'll have a look at it with the help of an example that will give you a very clear idea of what this Viterbi algorithm is. So the process will be we need to find a path in the trellis diagram with the output digit sequence that agrees best with the received sequence. With the output sequence that agrees best with the received sequence. So this is the main principle behind the working of this Viterbi algorithm. In this trellis, we'll find a path, the best possible path, and the output of that path will reflect the detected symbol. Okay, let us now study a decoding example of Viterbi algorithm. Viterbi algorithm for maximum likelihood decoding of the convolutional codes. We'll use the same convolutional code example, this what we discussed in the starting of this lecture. We'll consider this same Viterbi convolutional encoder, and for this we'll implement a decoding Viterbi decoder. Okay, so the given received digit sequence is 0 1 1 0 1 1 0 0 0 0 and 0 0. So this is a received bit sequence. A 12-bit received sequence is given to us, and based on this we need to implement the Viterbi algorithm. Okay, now we know that in order to implement the Viterbi algorithm, we need to take the help of the trellis diagram. So we'll start with the trellis diagram and with the initial state, that is 0 0. Okay, so let's make a basic trellis diagram over here. There are 4 states, A, B, C and D, and this is 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1, and the received bit sequence, we know it is given to us as 0 1 1 0 1 1 0 0 0 0 0 0. This is the 12-bit received sequence that is given to us, right? The same sequence. Now initially we assume that we are at state A. And if the input is 0, the output will also be 0. We know that 0 0, right? And if the input is 1, the output is 1 1 and the state transitions to state B. Okay, if the output is 1, the output will be, if the input is 1, the output will be 1 1 and state transition takes place to B. Now if at this point again we have 0 input, then it will remain in the same state and the output will be 0 0. And if the input is 1, the output will be 1 1 and transition takes place from A to B state. From this point, if the input is 0, the state transition takes place to C and the output is 1 0. And if the input is 1 at this point, then the state transition takes place from B to D. We have already seen this, and the output is 0 1. Okay, now let us analyze this trellis diagram based on the path we have achieved till now, and let us find out the survival path metric, or you can say the Hamming distance till this point. Okay, so now the first received bit sequence was, first 2 bits were 0 1. Okay, in this path the output is 0 0, so there's a difference of how many bits? 1. So the Hamming distance till this point is 1. All right. Similarly, if we compare the first 2 received bit sequence with this path output is 1 1. Okay, so again the Hamming distance between this and this 1 1 is 1. There's only 1 bit difference, right? So Hamming distance till this point will be again 1. Okay, now moving on, if we compare the next 2 received bit sequences, that is 1 0, with this path, again the Hamming distance is 1. Alright, so the total Hamming distance of this path will be 2. Alright, and similarly if we compare this with this output 1 0, the Hamming distance will be again 1. So Hamming distance at this point is 1 and the total will be 2. That means this path, the total Hamming distance will be again 2. Okay, let's take some different color for the next one. Similarly for this, if we compare this with this path, it is exactly the same, right? The output 1 0 is equal to the received 2 bit 1 0. So the Hamming distance for this path will be 0 and the total will be 2. Sorry, total will be 1 plus 0. Right? We started from here. So if you look at the Hamming distance of this path, this yellow path, it will be this 1 plus 0, that is 1. Okay. And similarly, if you look at the last branch, the output is 0 1 and the input is 1 0. So there's a bit difference of 2. That is, the Hamming distance at this point will be 2 and the total Hamming distance will be 1 plus 2, that is 3. That means for this path, this green path, the total Hamming distance is 3. Okay. So clearly we can see that till now this path, this yellow path, is the best path as of now. Okay, now successively we'll move on to the subsequent stages. Let us now look at the third stage. We have observed the path till the second stage. Now let us analyze the third stage now. Okay, so for the third stage, if you are at this state A and if the input is 0, then it will follow the same path 0 and the output will be 0 0. Okay, and if the input is 1, the output will be 1 1 and it will transition to the next state, that is B 1 1 1. Okay, similarly if we are at state B, if the input is 0, it will transition to C, and if the input is 1, it will transition to D, and the respective outputs will be 1 0 and 0 1. So this and this. All right, so this is 0 1 0 1 0 1. Okay, similarly for if we are at state C, if the input is 0, it transition to state A. If the input is 0, it transition to state A. Sorry. The input is 0, it transition to state A, and the output is 1 1. And if the input is 1, it transition to state B, and the output is 0 0. Transition to state B, and the output is 0 0. Similarly for this point, if the input is 1, it transition to state, it remains in the state D, and the output is 1 0. And if the input is 0, it transition to state C, and the output is 0 1. For 0, it is 0 1. Now let us analyze the third stage. Okay, so for the received 2 bits are 1 1. Okay, now if you compare this with 0 0, this is the output of this state. The Hamming distance is 2. So at this point the Hamming distance will be 2, and the total for this particular path, the upper path, will be 2 plus 2, that is 4 till this point, right? And now you see that we are getting two different branches at this. We are getting, one is this blue branch, upper one, and one is this yellow coming from here, right? So let's take the appropriate color. One is this branch, isn't it? This yellow branch. Okay, at this point we are getting two branches. One is the upper blue one and other one is the yellow. So for the blue one the Hamming distance is 4, and for the yellow one you can see the Hamming distance. Till this point the Hamming distance is 1. It is 1, it is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. And for this particular branch, if you look at for this branch only, the Hamming distance, this is received bit is 1 1, and the output for this branch is also 1 1, which is exactly same. So Hamming distance will be 0 for the yellow branch here, and the total will be 1 plus 0 plus 0, that is equal to 1. So there are two different Hamming distances, 4 and 1 at this point. So obviously we'll choose this branch with minimum Hamming distance, that is 1. This is the best branch till now. We'll ignore this blue branch. Okay. Similarly, we'll find out the total Hamming, cumulative Hamming distance at all these terminals coming from two different branches. Okay. I'll just straight away write down the Hamming distances. So if you look at this point, this terminal, the two Hamming distances coming are 2 and 3. At this terminal, two Hamming distances coming are 3 and 4. Here the distances coming out are 3 and 4 again. Alright. So till now we can see that this is the best, yellow one is the best possible branch as of now. Okay, so this is the best possible path till now, the yellow one, compared to all the paths. Okay, similarly we'll move on to the next stage. We'll analyze the same thing for the next 2 bits and the other 2 bits and the other 2 bits. Okay, and clearly you can see over here the remaining bits, received bits are 0 0. So now if we are at stage A, and if the input is 0, we remain in state A and the output is 0 0. Similarly, again if the input is 0, output remains 0 0, and again output remains 0 0. And 0 0 is exactly same as this output 0 0. Hence the Hamming distance will be 0. So Hamming distance at this point will be 0. This point will also be 0. This point will also be 0. So total cumulative Hamming distance of this yellow path, starting from this A node and moving down here till state C, then again coming back to A, and then further remaining in A will remain 1. The total Hamming distance of this branch is 1. And if you analyze the Hamming, if you complete this trellis diagram and analyze the Hamming distance of all the other branches, it will obviously be more than 1, because till this stage only we are getting Hamming distance as minimum as 2. Okay, so obviously it won't be less than 1 in the further branches. So this is the best possible branch according to the Viterbi algorithm. Now let us find out what is the output, detected output according to this branch. So according to this branch, the first output is 1 1. So 1 1. Second output is 1 0 1 0. Third output is 1 1, then 1 1. Fourth output is 0 0 0 0. Next output is again 0 0. Next output is again 0 0. Okay, so this is the detected output. And what was the transmitted received output? Received was this bit sequence, which is 0 1 1 0 1 1 0 0 0 0 0 0. This was the received, and this is the detected, and this is the received one. So you can clearly see here that there is a bit difference of 1 here, and corresponding to this detected output you can also write down the information bit, that is this 1 1 is equivalent to 1, 1 0 is equivalent to 0, then 0 0 0 and again 0. Okay, this mapping you can easily do using the encoder diagram. We know this encoder diagram, this one. Okay, with the information of these two outputs, you can easily predict the input bit. Okay, so although this was the received bit sequence as per this question, and the detected output sequence will be this as per the Viterbi algorithm, and you can clearly see that the number of computations required for this Viterbi algorithm is much less here. We just need to find out the best possible path with minimum Hamming distance with the code word. That is the concept of this Viterbi algorithm. Okay, I hope you understood the concept of decoding of the convolutional code using the Viterbi algorithm. Thank you.